everybody, Tonjia here, and today I got to catch up with my good friend and fellow filmmaker, Joe Sherlock. So Joe, how did you first get started making films?
So I was always into horror and science fiction and like Greek mythology and stuff like that, and I used to draw my own comic books. And then my dad had a Super 8 video camera, a Super 8 film camera, and so when I was like middle school, high school, I did some Super 8 shorts, and then we got a video camera, so I started making things on VHS, and sort of the comic book artwork lent itself to like storyboards and things like that, so it was a natural progression to do things on video. And so I would just do shorts and little stories and music videos with my friends, and eventually that moved into taking it more seriously and making a horror movie, and I haven't stopped.
And how did you get interested in like horror films or genre films in the first place?
I think even when I was little, I would watch horror movies. Like they had this Saturday afternoon horror host show on the UHF channel when I was growing up. And so I was always attracted to that, and I would, seek out comic books, and eventually like Fangoria magazine, and then there were a lot of independent TV stations, and then of course we got cable, and that opened up my mind to Showtime, which showed all kinds of horror movies, stuff like that. So, I just loved all that stuff, monsters and creatures and all that stuff.
Can you tell us anything about what you're working on next?
I am in the midst of making Things 6. So I made a movie a couple years ago, Strange Monsters, that was released as Things 5. And so the distributor...
I've heard of that.
Yeah, you're in that. And so he liked it, and he said, hey, let's do a couple more. So right now I'm working on Things 6, and actually next up I'm going to make Things 7. So it's fun B-movie stuff with little creatures and having fun with it.
And where can people find your stuff if they're looking?
Skullfaceastronaut.com.
And I'll put the details below.
So this is Dark Zone 13. This is the latest movie I made. I made it earlier this year in 2019. We premiered this at Crypticon Seattle, and it's an anthology of 6 horror stories. And much like a lot of my other stuff, it's all sort of indie horror. I make this stuff with my friends and other filmmakers around the Pacific Northwest and beyond, actually. So this is Beyond the Wall of Fear. It's another horror anthology. There's 8 stories in this one. This has an adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's story, The Statement of Randolph Carter, and some other stuff. Again, we premiered this at Crypticon Seattle, and I've got this on my website, skullfaceastronaut.com, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. Blood Creek Woodsman is like a slasher body count movie. We've got our hooded killer, and the bodies pile up. Lots of blood and gore in this one. Odd Noggins is a really weird movie. It's a sci-fi horror, surreal kind of movie. There's lots of pudding and strangeness going on. I'll just say that. So check out the trailer online. It's very weird. Drifter's another movie I premiered at Crypticon. This is about a drifter who comes into a empty house that's for sale and starts killing people, much to the realtor's chagrin. And so the handymen and painters come in, and so the police are trying to figure out what's going on, and as is the audience. So you got to figure out why is he doing this, and what's going to happen next. So this is another fun, sort of creepy horror flick. Twisted Fates. There's 3 stories in this one, and what I like about this one is every story has a twist, but usually there's a twist on the twist, and sometimes another twist. So lots of twists in there, but lots of blood and hot chicks and scary things and all the good things that make up a good B-movie. Okay, so this is Demonized. A fellow filmmaker of mine, indie horror filmmaker, came up with a concept for a really ambitious story about demonic possession that was really too much to do on an indie film budget, and so he decided to write it as a graphic novel instead and asked me to collaborate by illustrating it. And so Demonized is a tale of a kid in the 90s, a goth kid who ends up picking up a cassette tape at a record store, and there happens to be some demonic stuff on it, and then things get really crazy. So it's a really kind of a dark comedy thing. And I've brought with me some original artwork. I brought some original artwork with me from the book, and I have these pages for sale. And this was a lot of fun, and so hopefully I'll be doing some more comic stuff in the future.